Hello, everyone. I'm Hillary Sloan, and this is Driftwood Conversations. My guest today is actor, director, and writer James Morrison. Many of you know his work from film and television, but I first connected with him through the Yucca Valley Film Festival. I wrote an article for the local radio station in Joshua Tree, Z1077. James approaches acting not as a performance, but as a presence, a way of listening, responding, and revealing what's true. I wanted to continue that conversation in a quieter space to explore the deeper questions behind the craft, how we find authenticity, what guides us through change, and how art can be an act of service. So hello, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
When we spoke about acting, and you described it. I can't remember exactly how you described it, but I felt that there were layers, that there was an understanding in you about what you do and your craft that was very different than what I hear in standard conversations about acting.
Oh. What do you hear? I mean, I hate to put you on the spot, but...
Oh, no problem. Well, I guess it would go to the question, how do you get ready for a part? How much do you feel about your character? What I heard was a depth of understanding that was not only about the audience and about what you do, but also what you were conveying.
Well, my training is to put the story first, above all else, above any subjective considerations. From the outset, it has nothing to do with me. From the time I get the script, I say, who am I now? And, oh, this is my life. Okay, I'm Hamlet. And I think my mother conspired with my uncle to, what? Oh my God. And you see where it goes from there? Because I'm Hamlet. So there's no schizophrenia. There's no James and Hamlet. It's just, I'm Hamlet now. And so any consideration I have is a Hamlet thought. If I let those other thoughts, my thoughts, my personal life, my view of the world, my feelings about Hamlet, which are separate from the story, interfere, then I'm doing the story a disservice. So it comes down to surrender to that world of make-believe, which I think is the purest form of it. I liken it to when you're sitting in meditation. People say, oh, I could never stop thinking. Well, no, of course not. But when the thoughts come, we don't attach to them. We observe them. So if something takes us out, which it does, we get hooked, as Pema Chodron calls it, on a thought, and we start building on it, and then we go, oh, wait a minute, I'm hooked. I come back to the breath. That's all we need to do, you see. And it happens in the work, too. So I made that comparison because it happens in the work as an actor, too. If we're creating the environment for ourselves, for instance, if I'm doing Death of a Salesman and I'm in a scene with my father talking about how he committed suicide, and I saw him, discovered this rubber tube in the basement, and I'm confronting him with it. If I start letting James' thoughts in there, I go, oh, hang on a sec, and resume. It's not a big deal. It's just that you have to be aware that you're doing it and stop.
Is there a difference between the story and the character, or are they one and the same?
Well, the story is the character's story. I mean, they are one and the same, sure. Pick a story. Pick a Jack and the Beanstalk. It's a story about Jack. And that's the character, but it's his story. And if I'm Jack, my belief in magic beans has nothing to do with the story. So why would I let that, or how am I going to react when how am I going to say this line when I see the giant? Well, that's not a Jack thought. He's just scared that he's seeing a giant. There are technical considerations, sure. I mean, because it's a craft. In whatever medium you're working in, all those things come into play. But in the purest sense, it's like a child playing make-believe.
Is it easy for you to go there?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's actors out there that have to work harder at it.
Well, the work is in the time that you put in to daydream and to meditate on the story and the circumstances. If you surrender to the idea that you are Jack, then really that's the work. That's the hardest part of it. And so many actors can't because they're separate. They're two people. There's always the actor voice. And my teacher used to say, Harry Master George was my teacher for 40 years. And he used to say, An actor's imagination is limited, but a human being's is not. So which would you rather be? It keeps us from thinking like actors, and helps us think like human beings.
You're also a writer, and you write character. Is it like that for you when you're writing a character?
Sure. Well, you're a writer too. You're creating a character. The last thing on your mind when you're doing that, when you're creating a character and living in that character's life and breathing as that character. I mean, we're saying the lines out loud. We're to make sure that they're true and accurate and real to the situation. The last thing on your mind is, oh my God, I hope this actor brings their own life to this, right? You're thinking, oh no, you want someone to surrender to your story, right? Completely. The reader, the actor, whoever it is, you want them to be so engrossed and involved and submit so completely that they forget everything else.
See, I don't know if I should even admit this, but when I tried to write scripts and fiction years ago, I'd get so lost in the character that I would lose me. And I had to stop.
Mm-hmm. That's a danger as an actor as well. The immersion can be so complete. And I'm not talking about methodology or I'm just talking about the depth to which you surrender to something, and when you walk off stage or they call cut and it's over and you go, wow, where did I just go? Well, I left, and the truth is, you left, and the character was the most important thing. You surrendered completely to it, and that was where you went. Nothing else mattered. You were no longer an actor. You were that person in that situation. Years ago, I did a play. Well, I did it twice with Pat Hingle, A Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. He was in the original production with Kazan on Broadway. He played Gooper. And he was Big Daddy to my brick. And the second time we did it, 10 years apart, at the McCarter Theater in Princeton. And we had to come off stage after the second act, which is this operatic aria. I mean, it's such a beautiful scene between father and son, and lies are revealed, and hearts are broken, and it's a monster of an act. And one night after a particularly deep rendition of it, we had to walk down the stairs and then underneath the orchestra pit, and then back up the stairs to the dressing rooms in the black. We had some blue lights, and I'd be hobbling behind him on my broken leg and my crutch. And one night he turned around, and I saw him in the backlit, and it was he was a striking presence anyway. And he said, "Well, Jim, that's what it's all about, son." Because we had disappeared into this play so completely, and we both felt it and yet that's all that needed to be said. I mean, that was the child's game of make believe right there. We were gone. Jim and Pat were gone, and that I think that's what everybody strives for, really.
If you can balance the two, is it hard to come back to your own life?
Oh no, well, because that's the technique.
Okay.
Is switching it off and on like a light switch.
Right.
If you get lost in it, I mean that sounds like some kind of a break, right? What do they call it?
Is it a psychotic break?
Psychotic break. That's exactly right. If you can't discern reality from fantasy, right? But no, there's always that awareness. You have to be aware of everything as an actor. Because something will happen that is not planned, and if you're not totally present and alive and aware in that moment, you'll miss it. If you're too lost. But if you're lost in the moment between two people, there's that famous quote that I love. Robert Duvall they were talking to Robert Duvall about his preparation as an actor, and he said something along the lines of, if we're playing a fireman, we study, We learn about what firemen do, and even as unrelated to the story, just so we can saturate our imaginations with everything about what we can learn about this, because we are hungry for knowledge, too. And it feeds the flame of creation, too. The more you know and the more you're filling your imagination and freeing it. And he said, yeah, we learn about that. We read about firemen. We talk to them. We go down to the fire station, or embellishing what he said. But he said, ultimately, what it comes down to is you and the other guy. It's a scene between two people. If you're not totally invested in that moment, it's not going to be real. And that's what the illusion of reality, because it is an illusion. It's not real. It's like Hamlet said, hold a mirror up to nature, and a mirror image is an illusion. Yeah. So it comes down to that being in the moment so completely, with all that other work that you do, the homework.
Did you always think you were going to be an actor when you were a child?
Oh no, but I did have a penchant for make-believe, sure.
What were your ideas about what you
Oh, just, mostly improvs with my cousins, and, making believe that I was the bad guy, and, we would, you be the cops and we'll be the robbers, sort of playing with the friends when you're a kid. That sort of stuff, that's the purest form of storytelling. But if you take that same approach and apply it to your work as an adult actor, I don't know how you can do much better. Because it has nothing to, because then you're free, you see. You're not bound to adult rules. My teacher used to say, it's a child's game played under adult rules as you're called upon to follow them. Hitting your mark, learning your lines, blocking, all those things. Those are the adult rules. But the basic approach to it is let's play. It's play,
What a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
How does that affect your writing, and what is the strongest motivator for you in writing?
Well, I think there's no way we can create something that no, I think we can. I think and tell me if we're in alignment here too, because we have been so often in our conversations. But it's creating something that didn't exist before, isn't it? I mean, it's as simple as that. Even if we're using the 37 plot devices that exist, or the Aristotle's Poetics or whatever. I mean, we're really kind of trying to create a situation or a moment that really didn't exist before.
So I'm not sure where I come from. I recently discovered that what I'm doing, whether it's photography or writing or conversations, is connecting, looking for connection. Is that similar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Between who might see, we talked about this, didn't we?
Yes.
Between who might see it and what we're trying to convey.
Well, even more, even between the character, because the character
I see. Yeah.
can give me insight into me.
Right.
When we really go deep inside ourselves, there's so many qualities, some good, some bad. It depends on how they come out, but they make us very rich. And since I have the ability to imagine so deeply, I'm always looking for, I think, who I am.
So you want what you're creating to reveal to you who you really are and how you feel and how you see the world.
It's not my first thought.
Yeah.
My first thought is what I'm writing. But what I find later is those are the little tidbits.
As you go back and rewrite, you mean?
Rewrite or relook at my photographs.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That I've been looking for that piece of humanity that we all carry.
What attracted you to take that photograph, or what you see in it that somebody else might?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Or what qualities a person has if they're jealous, if they're scared, if they're insecure. I have all those pieces in me, and some of them come out and some of them don't. But I want to know about where it lives in someone else and how they work through it.
In terms of someone else being the character?
Well, because I'm doing nonfiction now.
Or the audience?
Yes, or the person that I'm writing about. Or
I see.
That's why I moved from fiction to nonfiction.
Okay.
Because I couldn't ground the fiction. I was living up in my imagination too.
You wanted it to be more accessible to, more Grounded is a good word.
I
Yeah.
wanted to be grounded. I needed to be
Sure.
grounded. My life was not quite working.
Okay.
So the more grounded I got, the more I found this works. Will I go back to writing fiction? Maybe.
Yeah.
Now. But I'm pretty grounded.
I see the benefit of if you're looking to convey ideas that are grounded. It might be easier in nonfiction. Sure, I see that. I chose a nonfiction route when I wrote my solo piece too about my boy. My experience with Riyadh's, my wife's, and I, our experience with my boy's cancer.
I didn't read that.
Yeah.
I will.
And yet I used the spirit of make believe in that too. I guess because you use all the tools at your disposal, right, when you're working, creating. But I see it's a different world to convey ideas that are meaningful or to discover more about yourself, I guess, if you're...
I don't think it was my first thought. It was more to be grounded, to make my life work. I mean, I will tell you a funny story. So when my father was dying, he was in Arizona. This was many, many years ago. And I was writing about a character flying to New Mexico. I got on the wrong plane. And I fought with everybody that my ticket was to New Mexico. How I got away with getting on that plane, I don't know. But it wasn't until I landed, and you talk about, split realities there, that's probably what happened, because the minute the plane landed, I remember all of a sudden something coming back into focus. And I realized that I was in the wrong state, that I was in New Mexico and not Arizona.
You think you did that in your grief?
I think there was avoidance. He was in the process of dying, and it had been a tough relationship. Mm-hmm. And so I think my ability to go into imagination allowed me to avoid things. Mm-hmm. And so it's been a long journey of not avoiding, of getting really grounded and facing my life, but always having access to I'll call it imagination or the spiritual world. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, but that isn't useful unless you can be here.
It's interesting you use, you reference the spiritual and we're talking about acting as if anyway, aren't we?
Right.
That's the imagination. Acting as if. And, a big part of what we do as creatives is acting as if, isn't it? And it creates, listen to a mindfulness meditation, Thich Nhat Hanh, about smiling. Mm-hmm. And how, if you just sit and smile and breathe, pretty soon your liver is smiling, your stomach is smiling, your heart is smiling, everything's smiling. Or if you just walk down the street smiling, pretty soon you'll be happy. It's powerful. It's a powerful medicine, isn't it? Pretend.
It really is. Yeah. And I'm not sure if it's pretending or striving, because if you live in that constant, this went wrong and this is bad and I'm sad and keep repeating that, and the mind loves that. It'll just go off.
Sure, yeah.
If you keep living in that, you keep creating it. There's no way out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We get good at what we practice. Well, the more we think about something, the more it means to us. So that's the essence. I mean, I keep drawing it back to the original question.
Oh, please do.
But that's the essence of the work.
Yeah.
Is the more you think about something, the more meaningful it becomes to you. So if I'm sitting and meditating on my life as Hamlet, by the time I confront my mother, it's going to mean a lot. The more I think about that. I mean, and the more I think about seeing my father's ghost, I mean, or did it come from my imagination? But no, because the other guys saw it too. But was it that strong? I mean, that's powerful. But it had to come from, I mean, how long did you think about your father? Whatever your relationship was, you had resentments? Okay. And why do we get resentments? Because we rethink them.
Mm-hmm. We do.
Yeah. So the more you think about something, the more it means to you. And that's the essence of the if we're talking about homework as an actor.
But I think thinking about something and observing something are the important key for me.
Yeah, you can do both.
Well, in my youth, I wasn't as clear as I am now.
Sure.
I suspect my father was ADHD, which I now suspect I am too. And so a lot of the missteps between us had to do with the way he was wired and trying to be something that he wasn't.
Which you had no control over.
Which,
yeah.
And without understanding that,
Yeah.
you know, then you make you have a misconception about what someone's saying to you
Yeah,
and how they followed through or didn't follow through.
Right. And you have expectations that aren't being met, and so that enters the picture.
Right. And then other people play in it and you become affected by that.
Sure.
So it just builds.
Yeah.
But
Over time.
Over time.
Yeah.
And certainly as a child, I think growing up, that's part of the relationship you're talking about. Hamlet, fathers, mothers, where, you know, we're deep into this very complicated relationship.
Yeah. And that's why, that I think is what prompts people to say, oh, you know, Hamlet and his mom, I don't know. And you go, wait a minute. Nothing in the play indicates that. You know, it's that's a subjective thing. So I think that we psychoanalyze probably to a fault, right? I mean, even looking back at our own lives, if you were to write about your father now, and I'm sure you have, if you started to get off track, what would the process be like? You know, oh, I don't know, I'm getting kind of deep into my victimhood or my confusion about. I mean, I'm just throwing out ideas, but not knowing your relationship. But you'd have to probably rein yourself in, wouldn't you? There'd be a certain amount of psychoanalysis going on, just for accuracy's sake, right?
You know, at this point, I feel such love for him and appreciation because that process happened from appreciating myself.
Okay.
And he and I, when I look in the mirror, I see him.
Okay.
He never saw that. He thought I looked like my mother. It's funny, but I really look like him. And he was so creative. He just couldn't finish anything.
Yeah.
So the wiring just didn't connect.
So you're seeing it objectively.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's beautiful. That's where you want to get as an actor.
Oh, that's great.
That's where you want to be. And you can only do that by eliminating that past self. So if I'm an actor and I bring my past self into the story of Hamlet, it has nothing to do with Hamlet. I'm going to be inaccurate.
Right.
In my portrayal. And people are going, what the hell kind of Hamlet is that? It had nothing to do with Shakespeare's play. But I don't know, I guess it was interesting, but you know, you see what I'm saying?
I do.
So you're in the place where your work is pure and objective. You're there as an observer, right?
And I think that, for me, that's happening more and more in every situation. Not always.
Yeah.
But more and more it is, and it's amazing. I was thinking, too, you're also a musician, and I was thinking, I love the song Amazing Grace, and I have about 4 copies of it from different Elvis Presley.
Oh, wow, yeah. Yep.
Now I can't think of them all, but
sure.
I used to listen to them one after another. And you were talking about bringing yourself to a piece.
Yep.
It was so different and yet also illuminating every time I listened to that.
Yeah.
From the different artists.
Every different person had a different emotional response to the song, and they were singing that truth. Right? Yeah. And that's why when you see 2 different Hamlets, you go, "Wow, it's 2 different instruments."
Right.
It's why when you hear Perlman or Yo-Yo Ma, I mean, do the same piece, and they might not because they play different instruments. But you see what I mean? They're playing the same piece of music, but it's coming through they're hitting the same note.
So maybe that's what I was trying to say when I said finding me in what I'm observing and writing. Not in a logical or intellectual, not in an intellectual way, but in a embodied way. Like when I see a play or hear a piece of music, if I can fully be there in it, then I feel full.
Well, you're feeling it. You're in it to your DNA level. I mean, that's when Pat and I were lost in that 45-minute second act, and we came off and we went, wow. That's it. That's it. We had submitted completely to it. That's what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Complete submission. Knowing, being aware still that if the lights go out in the theater, or if a prop isn't there, we have to figure something out. It's a complete surrender to it. But it's also just making it ours, isn't it? Just made that song his. He's saying his truth, his belief.
He really did. That was,
his faith, whatever his spiritual belief was. He was a devout Christian, but that's what he was singing. Somebody else would sing the same thing, but it would be moving and he was moved by it. See, that's the other thing. If you're moved by something, somebody else is going to be moved by it. If you believe it, someone else will believe it.
So I want to go back. When did your career start? What was your childhood like?
It was speaking of trying to be objective, my parents were alcoholics, and they had a rough go of it. I was the fourth boy. Third boy, fourth child. Wait, number five. I was number five. There were six of us, so I was number five. By the time they got to me, they were deep into it. My older brothers and sisters, and I saw them sober. They were sober 20 years, I think, 20 and 17 years when they passed. So we had different parents, really. Mm-hmm. When we talk about our parents, they go, I have no idea who you're talking about. But I knew the people they were talking about because at a very young age. And my dad left when I was about 3 and a half. And they were divorced for a long, long time. They got remarried when I was 16. So from 3 and a half to 16, I was traveling back and forth to live with my dad, and he just sort of bailed and got sober. Though they just weren't meant to be together. So I had a rough go of it for a while, and probably inherited some of their disease, to be sure. And I dealt with that on my own, in my own way. Thank goodness, or we wouldn't be here talking. A lot of my gravitation toward make-believe and stuff, I think, was probably self-defense, I had a vivid imagination and, imaginary friends. And so I loved all that stuff. I loved, going to the movies when I was a kid and then driving my bike home and pretending to be, the flying leathernecks or whatever movie I'd just seen, a war movie, usually. Ben-Hur, I remember I saw a lot, and the chariot race was incredible. I remember pretending Stephen Boyd. Remember he died in Ben-Hur. He was trampled by that death scene, and I remember reenacting that when I got home, and the shaking and that must have been, I don't know, second grade. So yeah, I mean it goes back. Oh, I love the clowns, too. I love Danny Kaye and those guys, Red Skelton.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they were the guys. They were the best.
And the costume pieces. And
yeah, all that stuff.
It was great.
So I guess it goes back. Was that the question?
No, it was just a statement.
Oh, it was my childhood.
The question about was your childhood.
Yeah. But I didn't know that I wanted to be an actor. I didn't really know it was a thing you could do. I didn't come from an artsy house. My parents weren't creative. My mom was a writer, ended up being something of a writer, a poet. She went back and got her degree at 50, but and did some pretty good writing. But and she encouraged me to audition for my first play for the community theater. She went with me because I was so shy. But she knew that I was wanting to do that. That there was an actor hidden in me. She knew that. So that was she was the reason. We blame her for that. Me doing what I'm doing.
When was your first big break?
Oh, I don't know if I don't know if I've ever had one. I mean, I think it's just like movies and acting and everything else is like a series of moments put together. I think that a career is a sort of series of breaks. You meet somebody that changes your life, it changes your worldview, and that's a break. You get a job that came from another job that happened 7 years before, and you had no idea it would lead to this because of that, undercurrent of blessings that Native Americans talk about, came up and grabbed you, That's a break. But you don't, at least I don't, think of it in terms of just that one thing that changed everything. It's a series of things. I met Riyadh in a play that we were doing that came about because I didn't get another play. And so I was able to do this play. It ran for 8 months, and we fell in love, and we're still together. This is 1988. So that's a break. I mean, that was a huge break. She saved my life in so many ways. So that play was a break. That play, a casting director, Randy Stone, saw that play, I think by his own admission, 35 times. And then, so that was 88. Then 7 years later, he called me in for a series at Fox and insisted that they hire me for it. And I got it and did it.
What series was that?
It was called Space Above and Beyond. It was a sci-fi series on Fox. So that was a break. I mean, you see, it's a series of events. Meeting my teacher was a break. I mean, he recognized that I was in need of a shovel to sort of start digging myself out of the shitstorm of my indoctrination into acting. And he was able to help me. That was a break. Without him, I'd still be struggling. I wouldn't understand my responsibility as an actor. So, you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you never really know. You'll get a job and you don't really know why you got it. It could have been something they saw that you did, or it could have been something they saw in the room in that moment. You just walked in, they went, oh, this is the guy, before you even opened your mouth. That's a break. That's an insightful person right there. So that's a huge break. And you have to be open to give yourself over to those moments too. And in your gut when it's not, this is not a break.
Yeah.
So you go, yeah, I'm gonna pass on this one. This is not a break.
May I ask you about your son?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
Is he all right?
Oh yeah, he's great. He's 26.
Oh, wonderful.
He's in Spain, in Galicia.
That's right. You mentioned him.
He's
yes.
teaching elementary school kids English, and they love him. He's Seamus. His name is Seamus, but they can't say the sh sound in Spanish, so they say Seamus. Yeah. So he loves them. They love him. He's great. He's doing great.
Do you have other children?
No. His recovery, his miraculous recovery from his brain tumor, that's a break.
Wow.
Yeah. So many kids aren't as fortunate. It's a very rare cancer, the rarest pediatric brain tumor, 5 in a million kids. He's doing really well.
That's great.
Yeah, he got his master's degree in teaching English as a second language and went to UCSB to get for his undergrad. He's an extraordinary kid, a wonderful poet.
So you're teaching a master class at the Yucca Valley Film Festival.
Uh-huh.
Are you enjoying our funny little town?
Oh, yeah, it is funny, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I live in a funny little town, too, so.
Yes, Ojai.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah. It's a kind of a similar vibe.
Mm-hmm.
There are artists and there are, rednecks and some ne'er-do-wells and some, rich people up on the hill. I mean, yeah, it's the same. Beautiful little valley, same. Different, very different environmentally, but yeah, it's got it's got a rich Native American presence and culture and past.
Like us.
Yeah. The similarities are numerous. Yeah, so I dig it. Yeah, I love it here, and beautiful people. So
there's some amazing people here.
Yeah, and I've just been here 2 days, and I've met quite a few of them. So it's very similar to Ojai. We've been there long enough now where we're kind of ensconced in the creative community. I mean, we kind of know everybody who creates something, and we go to this thing that our friends have started called Storyworks. It used to be once a month, and it's for anybody who has something to share. a poem, a song, or, sound healing. I mean, whatever they bring in, and I mean it covers the spectrum, the entire spectrum. But to sit there for 3 hours and everybody gets 7 minutes to do this, and then the two facilitators give nothing but positive feedback. There's no critique. No, if you tried this, it would do this. None of that. It's just like, man, thank you for bringing this. What a beautiful thing to get up in front of somebody and share what you've created. That's important. And I think that's probably what we're doing here at the film festival, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, the local artists bringing their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Local audience members come in to share in it and say and
there is some international artists participating,
sure,
which is even nicer because you broaden.
Sure, yeah, but a lot of local, a lot of places when they create something like that, they kind of ignore the local talent.
Yes.
The Ojai Playwrights Conference, for instance, for the first 20 years of its existence, brought kids in. They had a kids program, which was beautiful. But as far as local talent, writers or actors, even directors, very, very little involvement until the last few years of it. And then they went, I wonder if we ought to. I think that more of that needs to be done. I was an apprentice at the Alaska Rep back in the late 70s. And they started a professional training program and hired us locals as apprentices, basically, for 2 years through Jimmy Carter's Cedar program. I don't know if you remember that.
No.
It was an amazing thing. I mean, we got paid $250 a week to be apprentices, interns, basically, as actors, learning everything about what it means, how you put a play together. And then we did the small parts. But they didn't involve us in the main parts. They would bring these New York or LA actors in, and we always felt like, come on, man.
Did you live in Alaska?
Yeah, I grew up there.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize.
I left for a few years and then came back to do this thing, and when I was 24.
Wow, now that's a whole different vibe than California, New York.
Oh, yeah. Well, and especially in the theater, too, because, in fact, their motto was, we don't care how they did it in New York, which was a sort of a, regional theater pride, Yeah, it was great. It was 24/7. We lived, ate, and breathed theater for 2 years. And I got my union card and then left to go out into it. That's when I had decided before that that I wanted to be an actor, but, studied with a teacher. I auditioned for ACT in San Francisco when I was in Alaska.
What's ACT?
American Conservatory Theater. Oh. William Ball founded it, a wonderful director and teacher. And I didn't get in, and it destroyed me. I just thought, man, if I can't even get into an acting school, what's my life going to be like? It was back in the days when I considered, every audition I didn't get a rejection, which it really isn't. But so years later, I was working with Bill Ball, who founded it after he'd left the theater, as we were working together as actors. And we went out to dinner one night, and I said, I got to tell you something. I auditioned for your theater, for your school. Oh, really? In 1978, yeah. And I didn't get in. And I really wanted to study with you, and it kind of, threw me for a loop. And he reached across the table and grabbed my arm, and he said, you didn't need us. And I thought, what a beautiful thing to say, because all that stuff just left me. And I went, wow. Whatever the truth there is, the truth is, let it go, man. You were good. You did good. You did fine without us.
So, a couple of questions.
Yeah.
What are your plans for the future?
Oh, just wow. Keep writing. Keep exploring things that I want to do now, more so than in the past when I work for the sake of work. So I did a lot of really silly things for money or for whatever reason, because I felt I had to say yes. But now I know it's okay to say no, so I can be a little more discerning. And I always knew that I could, but I'm going to keep writing. I am writing now. I'm working on things. I was going to ask you, do you work with a group? Do you share your things with a group of writers? Do you have a group of peers that you like a writers group that you meet with or share your things with?
Not right now. When I first came out, I did.
Okay.
And again, I wasn't as focused. and I was doing more fiction. But I'd love to. I haven't been able to get a group to commit.
Yeah. You know what I've discovered recently is if you share it with someone before you put it out in the world, it sort of fortifies your, resolve. It gives you more of a sense of direction. If somebody in the group says, wow, you're onto something here. Well, I'd like to see more of this, because it's great.
I love feedback, and there isn't actually. It's not quite fiction, and it's not quite personal autobiography, but it's a mix.
Yeah,
and I'm playing with it, and it doesn't have a conventional structure. So I would love a group
because, and I only say this because when you finally then do put it out there into the world, you go, you know what? I know what this is. I feel good about it. I don't need somebody to say, yeah, we'll do it. And if they don't, it's their loss. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go somewhere else. I'll find the right person. I'll find the person for it. It's a huge thing. I think it cuts across the board in terms of being creative. You have to get to that place of self-reliance.
I love that communication with art.
Yeah.
With other people and people that understand. Well, they don't have to always understand, but people that have that creative urge and really live in that place, there's nothing like it.
No, and they're different from the people who we're talking about that we submit stuff to. I mean, it's not the same.
Right.
So if we're fortified by that relationship that you're talking about,
right,
we're untouchable. You know what I mean? By those people who don't get it. Because there are the rare ones that do understand the creative soul.
It's interesting. Okay, here's one of those magic moments that you're talking about this, because there was a teacher I had years ago, and even finding her was a little magical. I found a little piece of paper on a tree trunk that somebody brought to me, and her name was Holly Prado, and she's was a poet. She's passed away now. And I was in that group for a long time and loved it. And then Chris moved and changes. Well, Holly's passed away anyway, and she was in Silver Lake.
Okay.
But I had a dream about her the other day. And I walked up to her, and it was so real. She took my hand. First, she didn't know who I was, and I told her. And she said, oh, you can write. And then I woke up.
Oh, wow. So that was you telling yourself that you can write.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
But it also reminded me of what it was like being in the group.
Yeah.
I made a very close friend from that group that we're still in touch. And it just sharing ideas and stimulating each other. Like our conversation.
Yeah.
I'll probably write for days off of this.
Oh, good.
Last question.
Okay.
If you could go back and see the young James, what would you say to him?
I would say you are enough. And then I'd slap the shit out of him. No, that's the first thing I would say. Because when I heard that, I was ready to hear it, I would say, you may not be ready to hear this, Jim. And here's what it means. You're enough. You don't have to try to be somebody else When I would try to explain to him what that means, you don't have to put on airs or, any number of things that takes us from our most, you started this talking about authenticity. That takes us from our most authentic self. I think that's what I needed to hear, and I never heard that. I didn't hear it until I was 28 years old, and which is when I got sober. So I was ready to hear it then. A girl at the time that I was seeing, I was in a play with her, and I was struggling, and I was talking about it, so she was aware of it. I knew that there was something wrong with my drinking, and I said, I can't. She said, you are abusing your gift. And I needed to hear that. I'd never heard anything like that before. And I think I was ready because I realized that I had a gift. And I'm not sure I realized that before, and you get things when you get them, right? But yes, I think I would have said, you're enough. And then I would have said, you need to go to college. Because I really, if you have regrets, and I think what are regrets, just looking back and saying, yeah, I wish I'd done that.
What do you think he would have gotten out of college?
I think I would have gotten relationships with people that are smarter than I am. Because the friends that I had that were smarter than me, I met in a college town who were in college.
Right.
And they were in school. They were making relationships. They were professional, that ended up being professional relationships down the line. Resources that I didn't make professionally until later in life. It would have taught me discipline, I think, sooner, because it takes discipline to get through college. You have to work really hard.
Maybe even confidence.
Confidence in yourself and what you're doing. Yeah, sure. And you have to work hard. And for a while, I was just skating. I was skating by. Mm-hmm. So it may have awakened me, but I look back now and I wish I'd gotten into ACT. Oh, then I had a friend said, "So you didn't get in? Did you go back the next year and audition?" I said, "No. Oh no, you have to go back because they probably just didn't need you that year." And see, that's what I mean. That never occurred to me. So, and that's the truth.
I love learning, and I didn't get degrees. I went to different schools.
Sure, me too. Yeah.
Certifications, but I never got a degree. I would have.
Autodidact. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
But it's all perfect, isn't it?
Oh yeah, turned out great.
Yeah.
When we're right here.
Right.
Talking to each other. Yeah.
This is a wonderful conversation.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it is.
Thank you for being so open, so present, so you.
Well, I couldn't have done it without you.
Thank you. I think we can close.
Okay.
Listening back to this conversation, I was struck again by James's clarity, that quiet authority that comes from a life lived in observation. His reminder that an actor's imagination is limited, but a human being's is not, feels true far beyond the stage. What he describes, surrendering to the story, to breath, to the present, is what all creative work asks of us. It's what life asks of us, and to me, that is the heart of this conversation. Art as a way to stop abandoning ourselves, acting as a practice of returning to presence, a life shaped by many small, quiet moments of grace. James Morrison continues to write, teach, and perform. You can find links to his work in the Substack show notes. Thank you for listening and for being part of these conversations. Until next time, keep breathing, keep creating, and remember, you are enough. This is Driftwood Conversations, and I'm Hillary Sloan.